All right, live is starting. And we are live. And a glorious good afternoon to each and every one of you. Welcome to We the People Home Edition. As I told you last week, we're still going through some challenges with the local government as it relates to permits. And again, that we have had as our guest folks who are running against our county executive for the United States Senate position. I just found it very curious that all of a sudden we're having issues. But anyway, that is not going to stop the flow of the information. We come to you every Thursday in the 2 o'clock hour, and we come to remind you that you have power and say so at all levels of government. As Malcolm X said, education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Government and how it works impacts each and every one of us from the cradle to the grave, 24/7, 365. And we absolutely, positively have to get smarter about it. In this 2024 election, your choice, your freedoms, your democracy is on the ballot. So we need to wake up and pay attention. I'm your host, Angela Taylor, and I'm here with my co host, albeit by phone, Michaela McCray. And you can see her lovely face in the background. Okay. I also have my team Sweat, Tanya Sweat, for Prince George's County Executive shirt hanging up because I want you guys to be reminded. And again, as I tell you when I'm in studio, get that yellow sticky and stick it on your refrigerator and put Tanya Sweat's name on it because you can write her in the general election if she doesn't show up on your primary ballot. And I'm hoping that she does show up on your primary ballot as well because we have to get some quality people in government. Now, all of you independents who voted for her last time, know, trust, and believe that you can change your voter affiliation because you live in a closed primary state. And basically, what that means in layman terms is in a closed primary state. That's what Maryland is, and that's what the District of Columbia is. They're only going to count Republican and Democratic votes. So please, please, please change your party affiliation. You change it back, but change it so we can get people who give a damn about you in office. Because right now, we ain't got that. But before we get started, as I said, I have Michaela McCray, my absolute favorite millennial, on the phone. Can you say something, Michaela, so they'll know you're here? Good day, people. Well, that's super good stuff. But I just want you guys to know that we do have two $5,000 scholarships annually, and we are going to provide those scholarships through the year 2030. It is courtesy of the Anthony Richard Tillman Memorial Scholarship Fund. Uh, that those scholarships are for people who want to have a career in helping the disabled and the mentally challenged. So, all of you who are out there interested, or if you know a graduating student, excuse me, a graduating senior who may be interested in that career path, please, please, please send an email to Feger, that's FEGER 2023 at gmail.com. That's Feger, family, education, government, economics, and religion 2023 at gmail.com. Second announcement, Paul Montero. He's a Secretary of Service and Civic Innovation and a member of Governor Moore's Executive Council, has instituted two programs. The first is called Service Year Option, and that was designed for COVID graduates. Applicants must be a Maryland resident and have either a GED, a diploma, or a certificate of completion. Now, the second program is called Maryland Corp, where there is no age limit or no requirement for a diploma. This is for folks who have a little more in the gas tank, as Paul would say. So for either of those programs, all you need to do to apply is to text the word Maryland to 21000. Again, text the word Maryland to 21000. They will automatically, a link will pop up and you can just follow the directions from there. So that being said, Michaela, did I miss anything?
No, that's everything.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. But I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news. We're not going to talk about things related to Prince George's County, but there's been a lot in the news feed as it relates to the 2024 election. You know that the Republicans in the House have decided they're going to move forward with an impeachment of Joe Biden. Now, they have absolutely no cause, but my thinking is that because their front runner, which is Donald Trump, has been impeached twice, they want to put, um, they want to make an appearance of, I'm going to say equal footing for lack of a better word. You know, both candidates have been impeached, yada, yada, yada. So what difference does it make kind of thing? But I'm here to tell you folks, this is probably the most consequential election of your lifetime because what is on the ballot is democracy. Your choice is on the ballot. So if you want to continue to have a choice and exercise your voice, you will vote Democrat. If you want fascism and somebody to tell you what to do, then you vote for the other guy. What do you have to say about that, Michaela?
So, that democracy is definitely on the ballot, as well as the soul of our nation. At this point in time, we're looking at a space that is reflecting a historical perception.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking historically at how we got to where we are now and all the policies that were implemented and, all of the, protests and just everything that went into the vote,
Mm-hmm.
we are at this point, and I would say unconscious because we have been tricked and hoodwinked into thinking something that's not truly the reality.
Right.
At this point, the United States government works for the people.
Right.
And I think that needs to be stressed in its entirety. Without the people, the government cannot function.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, we have, and I say we because as people, we live by the sword, we die by the sword. If we all don't, if we're not all on one conscious, wavelength, then really, what can we do? The people who are on the other side have more power to destroy us than the ones who are on the right side. So that's why I say we. And essentially, where we are now is we're arguing about things that have no merit, exactly, that have no value when it comes to what government, what the government's role truly is.
Mm-hmm.
The government is pretty much there to govern people, provide them with the resources necessary to live healthy, civilized lives. And in the interim of it, whether it's impeached or whether Biden gets impeached, I think it's not as important as actually doing a evaluation of everyone that's in the government system, because I think what we're doing is we're giving some people more power, more respectability, and more responsibilities, and giving them more what would the word be, more
power.
Yeah, more power than what they actually have.
Exactly.
And I think government was I'm not I think I know the government was designed so that we would not be in the situation that we are in today. And essentially what is certain politicians and certain percenters of the United States government are fighting for a reality that we have fought so hard to get out of. Right. Taking away the humanity rights of a people is something that we saw, during slavery and during the turn of the century with Reconstruction and things like that, and Jim Crow. Careful. If we're not careful, if we're not aware, and if we're not intentional about where we are mentally with this fight of our, and that's why I say it's the fight of our souls, right?
Yes.
I talk about all the time that we have to look at the age of a lot of our politicians. And when we look at the age of these politicians, we begin to be able to be clear about what their historical is.
Right.
And oftentimes, when we look at the ones who are in office, I say this very clearly as well. Joe Biden is the only president who who has the stamp of being the youngest United States senator and the oldest United States senator.
Yes.
Right? So he has been in politics for his.
Okay, now let me just add a little footnote to that. Joe Biden is the only person out of that 435 member body in the House of Representatives and that 100 member body in the Senate. Out of 535 folks who have served in those capacities, he is the only one, the only United States senator who has left office not a millionaire. Chew on that for a minute. Go ahead, Michaela. I'm sorry.
No. And I think what my whole purpose of is I'm not trying to persuade or convince anyone of any candidate, because
right.
Have my qualms about stressing is getting into the fight, really seeing what the rules
right.
and playing by the rules, because at this point we're not even in the game. Okay,
right.
We're down by 50 points, fourth quarter, and if we don't hurry up and change the play, we're going to ultimately erase, or let me be more particular, we're going to ultimately eradicate all of the things in which we have gained society-wise in the last 100 years. I agree
3,000%. And in doing some research for the show, I found that William Rehnquist, who was the Supreme Court Justice, he was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and presided over Bill Clinton's impeachment hearings. But when I found out that in 1999, it was 25 years ago, that he had a sing-along at a judicial conference in Virginia. And the sing-along was Dixie. I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. In Dixieland, where I was born, in early on a frosty morning, look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. I wish I were in Dixie, hooray, hooray. In Dixieland, I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie. This is what I see playing out in the MAGA conference. This is what I see playing out. But more importantly, Chief Justice Rehnquist is the justice who led the charge, if you will, to give states more rights. Now, the 10th Amendment gives them rights. I'm pointing that out to folks, Michaela, because everybody knows about the book bans. You even have, Huckabee Sanders. The constituents are taking her to court because she was actually going to jail librarians if they did not move certain books, like The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, out of their libraries. Now, how crazy is that? But over and above that, Rehnquist giving states eroding the federal rights, is attacking education. Now, many people believe that that is a constitutional right. Read Amendments 1 through 10 of the United States Constitution. Nowhere in those 10 amendments does it guarantee education as a fundamental right. Now, when Tanya was last month, when we were talking about that in studio, Tanya said there was a federal law passed, but no trust and believe, folks. That law is reviewed every 5 to 10 years. And I'm saying that to say, if you get the wrong people in the United States House of Representatives and the wrong people in the United States Senate and the wrong person at the head of our government, the figurehead, the president, that can go away. Then what are you going to do with your kids while they're at work? You better pay
Absolutely.
attention.
Absolutely. And I think it's really, really important right now. And I think when it comes to just American people as a whole, the education system is not separate from middle class and things like that.
Right.
That separatism doesn't come until higher ed. You know, when you're paying, $100,000 to send your kids to like Harvard and stuff. At the end of the day, across the standard board, our education system is failing children. And that doesn't matter if you make $20,000 a year, $80,000 a year, or $450,000 a year. It is a system that has been implemented in a way to deduce the intellectual capacity of a we're so consciously decode what they're actually saying to us and to our faces. Because at the end of the day, if you were to actually understand the way, I don't believe that people are actually aware of how the government systems work. I feel like people vote and rally behind candidates off of a generational understanding. I did what my grandmother did, my mom did what she did, and so I'm going with what my mom did, right? And what that does is it continues to perpetuate. Yeah. Because if you do not take, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you have always gotten.
Right.
And so as the generations change, there has to be a change in who governs us. And there's no reason why there should be politicians that have these records of being in spaces for decades, and they're not doing anything to enhance. When you have a company, and if the company is not doing well, you bring in someone to do a whole shifting and a switch. They lay off people, they change the books, they do an edit. We have not had a revision or edit with our government system since its inception in 1776. And all I'm saying is I don't care if are showing what they need to be employed to represent us as a people. I travel a lot. I go a lot of places, right? And one of the things that I do when I travel is I ask people what their impression of the United States is, right? And if you were to hear they're laughing at us. It's a gag to them. And so while we're sitting here arguing over who has the best them to kill us, destroy us, and dumb us. The funniest part about it is we're laughing while they're doing it. Yeah. We think that we have the upper hand. We think that we're really the ones that are in control. But at the end of the day, we're being punished. The media is the tool that people don't read, and that's why education is so important. Our children, they don't read. We want to have budgets to where we have new technology and iPads and things like that, but we don't want to buy books. Right, exactly. Well, let me, I just want to put a footnote into what you said too, because you definitely said a mouthful in that. But I contend that since the 60s, civil rights, when we had the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, we thought we had arrived. I was one of those. I was one of those folks. And increasingly, it is just as you said, we did what our parents did. Our parents told us people died so you could vote, so you need to go vote, without really getting to the meat and potatoes of what was behind the vote. What's behind that vote is your choice.
And nobody really ever explained that to me. Well, they explained it to me when I was in high school, but they had been systematically taking civics and government out of school systems nationwide. So people don't really understand, as you said, they don't understand government. It's we, the people, we're the ones with the power to put folks there, but we have, because we thought we had arrived, we have just been just kind of going through the motions or not showing up at all. And as a result of that, over time, we get the bullshit that we had sitting at the head of our government. And when I say that, I'm talking about both chambers of Congress that make the rules and the laws of the country, as well as the Supreme Court, who, when there is a conflict, they rule on that conflict. And I hope I'm making sense. Okay, so we have got to, because again, you know, when I go out, I go to the store I'm in the community a lot. And, you know, I stand in the line at Walmart, and this was a couple of weeks ago. But I actually heard a woman saying, well, the president should do this and the president should do that. So, as you said earlier, people do not understand how government works. They do not. The president and the media perpetuates it in that that's who they point at across every news cycle. The president, the president, the president. So we who have not been educated on civics and government believes that he has power that he does not, because you won't do what? You won't read. Now, the president, here's what the president can do, people. And I will upload this on my YouTube channel, because you need to teach this to your children, because the schools ain't doing it. The president can make treaties with the approval of the Senate. The president can veto bills and sign bills. The president can represent our nation in talks with foreign countries. The president can enforce the laws that Congress passes. I'm going to say that one again. The president can enforce the laws that Congress passes. And Congress is the House of Representatives, the People's House, and the United States Senate. Two bodies from every state, from each state. The president can act as commander-in-chief during a war.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Can I interject?
Sure, please.
I think it's really important to explain what a bill is. A bill is a form used for most legislations, whether permanent or temporary, general, special, or public or private. So this is basically, it's
a law.
Can be,
and
say that again.
A bill is, you know, has the propensity to be a law at some point in time.
A law, right.
Or a rule that you're going to be governed by.
Right, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, all right. The president can call out troops to protect our nation against attack. He can make suggestions about things that should be laws. Again, he can only make suggestions to the legislative body, to Congress, about things that he believes should be laws, like guns, for example. Okay, he leads his political party. He's the head of it. He entertains foreign guests. He recognizes foreign countries. The president can grant pardons. He nominates cabinet members and Supreme Court justices and other high officials. But all them folks need to be rubber stamped by the United States Senate. He can appoint ambassadors. He talks directly to the people about problems. That's why he always gets TV time. And he represents the best interests of all the people. Now, here's what you all, the people, believe that he can do. The president cannot make laws. The president cannot declare war. The president cannot decide how federal money will be spent. The president does not interpret laws. That's the judicial branch. And the president cannot choose cabinet members or Supreme Court justices without the Senate approval. You need to know that that's his function. He can't go tell Exxon or Shell or Mobil, lower your gas prices. He
Right.
can't tell Safeway, John, and Sharper, lower your food prices. Because this is a free market. This is a capitalistic society. It ain't on him. He can ask, he can negotiate, but he can't make them do that. You guys need to know that. So with that, I'm gonna turn the mic back over to you, Eminem.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, for sure. I think it's really important to know that. And then one of the things I would, I guess, move into is like, what are midterm elections and why are they important to us? And I think it will explain how hand in hand it really depends on who are in these positions and what their values and their views are on the American people as a whole, because it's more like an equation based off of who you have in the presidency as your A value, plus
Right.
who you have in the Senate, plus is your B value, and then plus who you have in the House of Representatives is your C value.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you the impact of the president, the impact of the government at that time.
I would reverse that though. I would reverse that because the House of Representatives is a people's house. I think that would be A. I would put that as A. The Senate is
Okay.
B. Okay, but go
Oh, for
ahead.
sure.
I'm sorry.
For sure. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can definitely switch it around.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, all of those put together give you the climate of that government power at that time. And I think it's really important for us to see what that looks like. I think as a case study, looking at the Obama's presidency in comparison to Trump's presidency is very important because, you know, Obama had 8 impact in comparison to Trump, who only had 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But even to see what Trump was able to do in his first few months,
Yes.
it really explains that based off of who he appointed, you know, because it's really important to know who the appointed parties are.
Mm-hmm.
But this is pretty much what I have right now. Americans turn out to vote in large numbers every 4 years. We are very aware of that. During president.
Right.
The candidates are typically and cast their votes for their particular political party / candidate. And most of these candidates are able to have a platform via, you know, the media, news, and that type of thing. Midterm elections, though,
Right.
these take place every 2 years in the nation, just as much as the presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
But they do not elicit much voting enthusiasm. And I think the reason, not even I think, I know the reason why is because there's not enough publicity about them, and they like to keep it kind of off kilter so that you are not empowered with knowing who these people are and what they're about, right?
Right.
Spend so much time, and we're getting ready to start seeing it, which we're already seeing it. We'll spend so much time seeing the debates and things like that, you know, hearing about, listening about the resumes of all of these presidential candidates, but we don't hear the level of our like our local elections, and then for our senators and our representatives.
Even the midterm piece. To my mind, those are the more important elections, and the media does not focus on that. They focus on the general. But continue. I'm sorry.
No.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And so you agree that that's where we are now with
exactly.
The
mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then hold on, I wrote it out. Midterm elections determine much of the leadership of our state and local government.
Right.
During these off-year elections, different states choose their governors and members of the state cabinet, along with their representatives in their representatives in the U.S. Congress are voted on during the midterms. As each member of the House of Representatives serves a 2-year term, U.S. Senators, meanwhile, serve a staggered 6-year term.
Right.
So they are occasionally on the ballot in the off years.
Mm-hmm.
and which means if we go back to that equation, depending on who's in office and who's properly positioned in spaces, with the right amount of people positioned, certain bills can be passed, which we now
Right.
know turn into laws. Certain policies are implemented. Certain changes happen. Certain people are in charge of how we respond to national pandemics,
Right.
wars, and so that's why it's really important to where we are, far as who's politically in office at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Decisions made by our local leaders have a tremendous impact on day-to-day lives.
Right.
During the midterm elections, voters also choose. Yeah, they also choose like their county commissioners, and this is where it deals with like towns and
municipalities, counties.
Absolutely, who make decisions about property taxes,
Mm-hmm.
road improvements, emergency services. A majority of these are also up for election during the midterm election.
Right.
Are also up for election during the midterm election.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you want to live in a community that reflects your values and provides the quality service that you think are important, midterm voting will help accomplish this far greater than your presidential elections.
Exactly. And just as a point of reference as well, 1/3 of the Senate, the United States Senate, rolls over every 2 years. So just like you have the People's House is every 2 years. And I think what you said earlier, we need to, times change. We need to get folks in who are up with the times. We like say, for instance, we're evolving as a nation. We need to get people who are going to keep up with that evolution. And we ain't got that. We have so much infighting at the federal level. And, again, you've heard me say the speed of the leaders, the speed of the team. You see that at the federal level. I personally think that state governments and trickle down they're going to respond in kind. They feel like we're not paying attention. We haven't paid attention for so long, which has created the mess that we are in today. And they really believe that we have that same mentality at the state level and at the local level. We've got to change that thinking. So that being said, as I said, this is probably the most consequential election in our lifetimes. So here's what you need to know about the election. Now, I don't know if you've gotten this, but we voted by mail. My husband and I voted by mail the last time. They are starting to send these out. I don't care what state you live in. If you voted by mail, you should be receiving an envelope that looks like this in your mailbox, which is going to give you an option as to whether you want to show up in person or vote by mail. So know that you have that you need to open that up and read it and make the decision now, because we can't not show up under no circumstance, short of our own personal death. We can't not show up in 2024. So check your voter registration. And you check that with your Board of Elections, because there are certain states, and this happened in 2016. It happened in whenever Stacey Abrams had run, because she ran twice. They purged voters who may have missed an election, and it may not have been the most recent one. They purged 200,000 voters off of their rolls in the state of Georgia. That's why I believe Stacey Abrams didn't get that governorship. So right now is when you need to start checking. If here's a website that you can check if you don't want to make the call for whatever reason. You can go to www.usa.gov, and there you can check your status. You can change your voter registration or your affiliation. You can do different things at that site, but you need to stay on top of that because I promise you, Republicans are counting on us not showing up. Because as I told you, I'm kind of fed up with both of them too. But I tell you what, I would rather have a voice than not have one. And that is what's on the ballot. Okay. And as I was saying earlier, the book banning, education is on the ballot. Whether they have it written out or not, it's on the ballot because they don't want us to know the history of this country. Uh, they, as I said earlier, it's not a fundamental right. So they can snatch that whenever they see fit. If you get the wrong people at the head of your federal government, it will trickle down to your state houses. I promise you that. Uh, now, I'm trying to think of, and what I keep thinking about is something that D.L. Hughley said a number of years ago. And that too, it just kind of resonates in my spirit today. And you tell me what you think about this quote, Eminem. The most dangerous place for a Black person to live is in a white person's imagination.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I say the reason why is because I think once you're in that space, you kind of give up your respectability, you give up your power of self. And that's really where we are now. A lot of people are like, oh, everything's race, everything's right. Well, if it wasn't, talking about it.
Yeah.
But right now, where we're going, especially when we see what's happening in Florida with DeSantis and all of these different politicians and the policies in which they're implementing, we have culture. I'm speaking to the culture now. We have to remember as the culture that policy was used to enforce. That's how powerful policy, and laws are. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And no matter how much we fought against it or how much we did, we had to go through a lot of intricate spaces to get out of that, right?
Right.
So when you're listening and you're articulate and you're deciphering what they're articulating, you can see historically where they're trying to take us back to, where they're pushing us to, the direction in which we're going. And all I'm saying is, take time. And this is something that's really important to me when I talk to my students and I talk to people that are in my generation.
Right.
It's time for us to be very selfish with the way in which we vote. A lot of the things in which the politicians are, constructing at this time is not beneficial to us.
Right. So
why would I put my vote and chip card behind someone whose policies won't do anything for me?
Exactly.
And I mean nothing at all. And nothing against the generation that's coming out of it. At the end of the day, Social Security don't.
Right.
Nothing. It don't have nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying?
It kind of does, sweetie. Wait a minute, time out.
Affirmative action impacts me a lot. Especially with the work in which I do.
Okay.
Housing.
Okay. I got to interject that. Are they pulling FICA out of your check?
Say that again?
Are they pulling FICA? FICA. You got that?
But I'm saying that it's as of right now today.
Okay, I got you.
As much as it will, the generation that's coming out of it.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
So basically saying in the next 4 years, what the policies have going on won't impact me. But right now,
got you.
The Social Security is how people survive, is how certain people live. And so if we understand, meaning they are supposed to implement and govern policies that help people to survive or to live effective.
Right.
That's a contradiction right there in itself.
And one question I've been asking folks, just random, because I do that. I said, name one thing that the Republicans are running on that makes your life better. And to a man, I haven't gotten a response yet. Can you give me something?
Mainly what it is, and this is the thing, people are voting based off of emotions.
Right.
They're voting based off of what feels good, what sounds good, in 180 characters. The
Mm-hmm.
fine print, because I think when we first started the show, we were talking about how certain voters didn't even realize that they literally signed a piece of their paycheck away to build the private partnerships to what's it
Public-private
called?
partnerships, not realizing
Yes,
that anything that you partner with that's private
right.
is making a profit off of you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes down, everybody, and this is not a race thing, everybody cares about the money, right?
Right.
Everybody cares about how their money's invested. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I said we're really fighting at the soul of this country. And I know you're going to be like, but from studying history and just studying the statistics from, different perspectives, race isn't getting for much longer. It's too much integration. It's too
Yeah,
many. We have a lot of biracial spaces that are, we're
you
no longer
can't
just
tell.
well, in my head, we've never been the minority.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're really not the minority
Now
now.
you're right.
But we're now getting ready to see. Because I think I talked about it a little while ago about Bacon's Rebellion, right?
Right.
So with Bacon's Rebellion, this was a war that happened in Virginia, right? Oh gosh, I'm getting the year wrong.
It's
In
okay.
the early,
I said it's okay. Keep going.
well, basically, I talk about Bacon's Rebellion often. It happened in 1675, and it was a dispute between the settlers and the Indians on the Virginia and Maryland border, and also the slaves. And basically, the government, Sir William Berkeley, who was a wealthy planter, and his government during that thought of his followings of that during that time, pretty much, we're getting ready to get overthrown by the people. And I think this really shows and expresses the grievance when the people come together, how powerful they really are. Because people, all these slaves, all of these indentured servants, that's what they call the white
Right.
people that were slaves. They call them indentured servants.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these people, if they together, they will have more power than us as a government. And you know what they did? So they set. The white indentured servants who were on the same level as the slaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Made them have just a little, gave them empowerment because they were white.
Right.
They had to have some type of alignment to the elitists at that time. And that right there is the turning point in our government system, because instead of you're poor, you're living on the same level as me, we're eating the same, we're living the
Right.
same, but because the government, you feel like you were a little more superior, you
Mm-hmm.
left the fight.
Mm-hmm.
You left the fight. And I don't see it any different than what we have going on today.
Yeah, I remember in the when Lyndon Johnson, before he became Kennedy's vice president, so this was back in the 1950s, way before your time. But but anyway, I will never forget Lyndon Johnson saying on I don't know if it was Merv Griffin, it was one of the talk shows before he came to prominence. If you can make a poor white man uh, feel better about himself than the richest, most educated black man, you can pick his pocket all day. That's Lyndon
Yep.
Johnson that said that in the 1950s. And to me, that's something that we need to pay attention to. It's like you said earlier, we don't read enough. When you see how people think, and it's that, like I always promote the book Nixon's Piano, Presidential, excuse
Yeah.
me, Racial Politics from Washington to Clinton. you can really see how these folks, we black folks have always made the difference in the balance of power, whether we showed up and vote or whether we did not show up at all in certain pockets in this country. So I'm saying all that to say, when we say we the people, we are the government. We need to understand the power that we have, and we need to embrace it. We got to stop being lazy and voting on emotion, or voting because my mama voted, so I'm gonna vote without doing any kind of homework on who we
Yeah.
are putting in office. We have got to start vetting these Bamas before we put them in charge of anything. Now,
Absolutely.
yeah, in
And
the,
saying things like, the Democrats are for the black people and the
mm,
Republicans are for the white people.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, we're not at that space anymore because we're not segregated, number one.
mm-hmm,
And it really needs to be talking about dollars and cents.
mm-hmm,
Honestly, who's going to give me the best return on my investment of my
exactly.
vote?
Uh-huh.
That needs to be on a shirt. Okay, I'm voting for who's going to give me the best return of investment
Mm-hmm,
on my vote, and
mm-hmm,
you vote that way. Okay, and
mm-hmm,
if you can explain to me, and I don't care red, a donkey, or an elephant. At
mm-hmm.
the end of the day, who me the best return? So if you have an opportunity to talk to a president or a senator, your political plan,
Mm-hmm.
so that I don't get bankrupt in you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to be talking about.
Okay, and let me just say this, folks. And you can go all those government buildings downtown, the Russell, the Hart, the Dirksen Senate office buildings, the Rayburn and Long. I forget the House office building. You are paying for that. You can roll up in there anytime you want. I know because I've done it. If something is important enough to you, you can get it in front of all 100 of them Bama's in the United States Senate. And if you got enough leg space, because it's 435 folks in the Rayburn Longworth and the House office buildings, you can carry letters. You can go sit in those offices. Because why? Because you paying for them. Those folks work for you. And this is what I think we just totally lost. We vote, but we don't hold nobody accountable for that vote. Every single Bama in the House, in the Senate, and even the president got an email address and a telephone number. Why are we not using it? Why are we not holding these folks accountable? Even in it's your local government folks, even though in my particular county, you know, I would roll up to Upper Marlboro because you're always getting Silicon Sally when you make a phone call. It's very rare. I mean, I get return phone calls from a school board reps. I have even gotten responses from my county council reps. But we have got to hold these folks accountable. We just can't show up on election day and say, hey, I've done my job. That's it. Let me go back home and then call our girlfriend around the corner when we see some shit happening that we don't like. That does not help advance anything. We have got to get up off of our apathy and do what we're supposed to do. My brother, God rest his soul, one thing he said, sideline citizens infected with the disease of indifference. That's what's killing us. If you don't hold nobody accountable, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. Okay. I've got that off my chest. Well, for the time being, anyway. But I just think of um, what we thrive on. All of this crap that's going all across the internet, and people responding about Diddy and Cat Williams and all of these folks.
Okay.
What is that doing to advance you? What is that doing
Excuse
to?
my French, not a damn thing. Rich people over here arguing about rich people stuff, and we're over here fighting, high wages. I mean, high rent, high. And I think what was so sad about it is, and me, I don't have no filter. I think what's embarrassing about it is always niggas crying
I-
about something they ain't got no business dealing with them. And
exactly.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
I'm very much sick of it. At the end of the day, people high pedestals,
Hmm.
But and it's something that I keep saying. What do they do for the black community? They
Exactly.
capitalize on the black community. They exploit us. What
Hmm.
do they do for the black community? Yeah,
Hmm.
we want to give these people platforms, but then we want people who are actually out there working hard, putting metal to the pavement, trying to liberate us into freedom.
Yeah.
He got his millions. You know what I'm saying? All of them. They
Exactly.
got what they got. What they got. They
Hmm.
have what they have going on in their lives. We need to stay out of this celebrity high school drama.
Exactly.
Get it off of my TL. I'm tired of seeing it. It's an abomination and it's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
And this is something I said the other day. We don't have to continue to oppress us. We're doing it very much on our own.
Exactly.
They don't have
Exactly.
to say another word to us. They don't have to put another in there. They don't have to take something away. They don't have to kill another one of our black people. We are doing it on
For
our
our
own.
own.
And I'm sick
Exactly.
of it.
As am I. Because that's a discussion that 'cause my husband, he sits on his computer and he follows this stuff all day and he wants to talk about it. And he gets a little perturbed. Said, I don't want to hear that shit. Because what is it doing to improve our condition right here at 5601? Not a damn thing. It's
Nothing.
taking
Ain't nothing been deposited in my account. I
exactly.
promise you that. Ain't
Oh,
nothing been help on my thesis. Ain't nothing buying me a plane ticket.
yeah, exactly. All these
Wasting my
shiny
time.
pennies.
It's taken away from me being able to be productive and help my community. And I think what's so sickening about it are the arguments. It's like they stole your right.
Yeah.
You over here mad at this person.
Yeah, exactly. They've all these shiny pennies that they put up to distract you from the real stuff.
Right.
Because people are following this crap.
I'm gonna end on this now. I'm gonna say it like this.
Oh, go ahead.
Y'all gonna mess around because let me tell you something. I'm on slave movies y'all didn't want to watch. It's gonna be a damn reality.
It's gonna be the reality show.
Don't pertain to you and don't have nothing to do with your livelihood. You're gonna be sitting there looking goofy and stupid.
Exactly.
And it's heavy on you, because I promise you, baby, I'm
and it will not be televised.
okay.
Yeah. It's we've got to spend if people spent like a fraction of that time. Well, I'm with you. I wouldn't spend no time on it. But a fraction of that time doing something beneficial in their house or in their community. I just think we would take one giant step forward all around. I'm gonna put my shirt. Wait a minute, let me.
One interview.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong. I grew up.
Yeah, I want y'all to.
I don't really have a problem with Cat Williams. I actually like him. I think it's funny. You know what I'm saying? I think he's wise.
Right.
It is what it is. But in one interview, we ain't heard from Cat Williams in years. Okay?
Since Jesus was a baby.
He has been the most talked about person for 11 straight days. He's everywhere.
Right.
He's everywhere. He has incited. Hell, he's the January 6th riot of 2024. He has incited and the comedians, all of our black comedians. It's sad. And then nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of what he's saying, or a lot of what they're talking about, it has merit. But there's people who have been talking about it and who have the credentials to really explain and elaborate and articulate what's really going on. Not saying there's anything against what he's saying, because the things in which needed to be heard and things that need, like the demasculization of African American men.
Yeah, exactly.
All of the good stuff that he had on, none of that is being broadcast. All they want to broadcast is beef.
Yeah, it's gossip.
Animosity and division in the community.
Yeah, this is what annoys me more than anything else. Is your black man tearing down another black man, or that's just such bullshit to me.
It is. And
Because
that's why I said
yeah,
y'all have played into this. So and that's why I'm heavy on y'all.
yeah,
When y'all wake up and
mm-hmm,
they out here whooping your asses talking about something, go pick that cotton.
mm-hmm, exactly.
I want you to, what is it? WWKW. What would Cat Williams do? Figure
Mm-hmm.
that out. Because I promise you, he ain't going to be picking nobody cotton.
Yeah, probably not. But hey, I would not put it past if the regime who is pushing Trump gets to take over all levels of government. Cat Williams gonna be picking some cotton too. Believe it.
No,
Believe that.
no, no. You know the celebrities they gonna be on the first plane smoking out of here. They'll be out, and we gonna be sitting here. And look, I'm be right there with them, and y'all gonna be sitting there looking goofy because I'm telling you, look, this election,
Uh-huh.
and it's not even just the election.
Mhm.
Let's say it a little further. This year
Yeah,
is gonna be the war for the soul of America.
it is. It
Mark my
is.
words.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm on your train. I'm on your train. And I think about, as we look at the top of the government, the folks who make the rules for the country, I think about laws like qualified immunity. It's getting overturned in some places. That can go away.
For
We're
sure.
just made games. It used to be that, Los Angeles Police Department and the Prince George's County Police Department were the most violent police departments, and that was in the 1990s. Then we got Missouri, Oklahoma, for God's sake, and New Mexico. Who knew? But these things can come and roost, come home to roost in your state.
Okay, what Malcolm said.
Well, the chickens will come home to roost.
Okay.
Yeah. And he also said we need to push back by any means necessary. By any means necessary. He has got, and he said in his book, Malcolm X on African American history, not only do you need to learn how government functions where you live, in your state, in your country, you need to check out what's happening globally because it
Absolutely.
can come to your house. And I think that too many of us have gotten comfortable, don't think it can happen here. It can happen.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I've been learning since I've been traveling abroad.
Mm-hmm.
America teaches other countries how to treat us,
Exactly.
And if we go, they don't like Americans in other.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people all the time, I don't know if the discrimination is because I'm black, a woman, or an American, or a little bit of all of it. And I have come to the conclusion that's a little bit of all of it.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of the day, when we go to, and I don't, and for me, I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Right.
I was talking to someone on the plane. I'm always talking to someone. And, when I was going to Haiti, he was like, I can't believe you're going to Haiti. It's so dangerous. And then he started telling me, like, the top 10 places that are so dangerous and violent. And I was like, where the hell is America? Our babies can't go to school without being shot up.
Exactly.
I think we need to, the American people need a reality check.
Are we number one on that list?
Country.
Michaela, are we number one on that list of the most dangerous places to travel to? Or is America number one? Because it just feels
it's
like
not on the list at all.
What?
No, and that's what I was saying. Because I was just like, hey, it's one of the most dangerous places that you can visit. And then he started naming all these. And I was like, okay, we at 10. Not that bad. Oh, baby, are they school?
Oh, exactly.
Shut up. Our side rates. What was it last year? I think was it March or April? We had more.
We had more homicides than we had days in the year.
More mass shootings than we had completed days.
Mm-hmm.
Our homelessness is skyrocketing. People are literally dying on the road from starvation.
Right. And did you see on the news just the other day, the Inflation Reduction Act that Biden passed would send money to different states, all 50 states, to feed the hungry children in the schools. Do you know the state of Iowa rejected the money?
For sure. For sure. That's too much like right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I pulled up the list. The most dangerous countries in the world in 2023, number one is Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, South Sudan, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Russia, Ukraine, Somalia, Sudan, and Iraq. Where's the United States of America?
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, because honestly, if you look at it from a historical perspective, a lot of these places got how they govern themselves, and they're
from us.
Off of the United States of America.
Yeah, from us.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
For sure.
Okay, well, we're coming up on an hour. So let's see. I'm ever so prayerful because you said you dropped some nuggets today. So I'm ever so hopeful that the audio quality is going to be good. If it is, we're going. If it is, we'll talk about how we can do this again next week. But again, prayerfully, we'll be back in studio by month's end. But that being said, let's do your thing before we close.
Oh, hold on. I wasn't prepared.
Okay, it's okay. But I'm not gonna do your part because the last time I tried to do your part, you said, hold on. If you need me to do it, I will.
Oh no, it's on my iPad.
Okay, well, we'll just get to it. But people, please, 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 I'm gonna upload this to my YouTube channel because when I take my dirt nap, I want you to be able to go to any of those shows with your kid or your grandkid and get educated about how we are supposed to be the power of the people. We are a we the people government. So when you point at somebody else, it's that old adage that what my mama used to say, when you point your finger at your neighbor, remember it's 3 fingers pointing back at you. You need to get up off your apathy and participate in the process. The process you can work the process or it will work you. And right now, with what I see, we are being worked. And we will continue to be worked if we don't get up off of our apathy. Remember, I will say it, sideline citizens, those folks who don't show up when it's time to vote, infected with the disease of indifference. That is what's killing our country. And you better, if you don't remember nothing else that was said today, no trust and believe if the wrong people get to head your government. Education goes away. It is not a fundamental right guaranteed by the Constitution. And I bet you the overwhelming majority of people who are in earshot of this broadcast don't know that. I will bet that. So you ready, Eminem?
I am.
All right.
Yes, before we close today in our broadcast, please go to youtube.com/AngelaTaylor41 and hit the live tab. Like and subscribe. Make it a point to take time to review the broadcast. Share with your friends. No one's going to save us but us. So with that, we need you to count your blessings instead of your crosses. Count your gains instead of your losses. Count your instead of your woes. Count your friends instead of your foes. Count your smiles, your fears. Count your needs. Count your kind deeds instead of your means. Count your hope instead of your wealth. And by all means, count on God instead of yourself. This is Eminem.
And this is A21. And at We the People, we believe that there is good in the world. And with that, we challenge each and every one of you to go out there and be the good. This is A21. I'm out.